Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. 4 days after his death, demands for a CBI inquiry into the mysterious circumstances surrounding the death of DK Ravi have only grown louder. In contrast, the state government's refusal seems less credible. So in part 2 tonight we ask, why is the Congress government in Karnataka so adamant about this matter? Or do they have grounds for refusing a CBI inquiry that have not been appreciated? But first, Nithin Gadkari's challenge to the opposition parties and Anna Hazare to debate the land acquisition bill has been roundly dismissed by Congress. But is it simply a gimmick, or could this option provide a sensible solution to an otherwise intractable problem? That's our first discussion tonight. Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. 4 days after his death, demands for a CBI inquiry into the mysterious circumstances surrounding the death of DK Ravi have only grown louder. In contrast, the state government's refusal seems less credible. So in part 2 tonight we ask, why is the Congress government in Karnataka so adamant about this matter? Or do they have grounds for refusing a CBI inquiry that have not been appreciated? But first, Nithin Gadkari's challenge to the opposition parties and Anna Hazare to debate the land acquisition bill has been roundly dismissed by Congress. But is it simply a gimmick, or could this option provide a sensible solution to an otherwise intractable problem? That's our first discussion tonight. And joining me to discuss Nithin Gadkari's challenge and the Congress party's response is BJP spokesperson Shaina NC, Congress spokesperson Ajay Kumar, the well-known activist Nikhil Dey, and the executive editor of Headlines Today, Javed Ansari. Shaina NC, Nithin Gadkari has challenged the opposition parties as well as Anna Hazare to debate the land acquisition bill with him. Now, is this just a political gimmick, as many people think, or is it a serious attempt to sort out differences between supporters and opponents of the bill?
Absolutely not. It is an endeavor to ensure that democracy is at its best. We could very well say that we have a majority in Parliament, but that is not our approach. We want a consensus in Parliament. We are extending this debate to everyone who has a question vis-a-vis the land acquisition bill, because I think it's amply clear by what Mr. Nithin Gadkari said today and yesterday, where he said that yes, this discussion is about all the question marks that people have been raising. And he also narrated an incident of almost it seeming like, the 1857 revolt, where you had enough of rumor mongering, which the opposition seems to be doing. Okay. If they are serious about their areas of grey, they must air it and they must be open to a debate. And without having a debate, just to cast aspersions on us and to say we're anti-farmers, which we are not, I think is absolutely grossly unfair.
Let's keep these short answers so that other people can have a chance to speak as well. Dr. Ajay Kumar, on the other hand, Nithin Gadkari's challenge to a debate has two clear advantages. One, it will allow both sides to air their positions in public so the country can decide. And secondly, it will focus attention on the argument, not the politics, and therefore we'll get to the core of the matter. Why is that not a good thing to do?
Karan, it's really funny that Mr. Nithin Gadkari says we need a debate. So what was happening in the Lok Sabha when all the opposition parties, that's where the debate should happen, and we put our points very clearly to the government. I mean, I find this, so facetious that they want a debate outside. The debate of a bill happens in the floor of the House. All the opposition parties put their perspective, including the ally Shiv Sena. And if you look at the black ordinance, we would call it a black ordinance, and they're trying to,
But what have you got against a debate in a more public arena than Parliament, perhaps on television? What have you got against it? Have a second debate or a third debate. Why restrict it to just Parliament?
Oh. No, we would love it. I would request Mr. Gadkari to come with, to the Jantar Mantar and meet all the people right from the grassroots.
So you're willing to do it?
Bharat Kisan Union, all the
So
people.
You're willing to do it? When you say you would love it, you're saying you're willing to do it. You're accepting.
Mr. Gadkari's statement is like a balloon, and I'll just give you an example. I don't want to talk too much of time.
Answer my point. You said we'd love to do it. Does that mean you're accepting, or have you used the wrong language?
Yeah. No, we would accept it, but first of all, debate it in the Rajya Sabha again. Why are you running? We debated. Now, I want to ask a question. Why did we put our points very forcefully across for everybody in the country to see in the Lok Sabha? Everybody heard us. They didn't seem to hear. They still not address the concern. And they keep wanting to have debate. I mean, we can educate you on the TV channel, we can educate you on public forum.
Let me pluck out from your answer the one point that I thought was of interest. We'd love it. You're willing to do it at Jantar Mantar. That's not the official message your party sent out yesterday, but I'm glad to have you as spokesman give a different message today. Nikhil Dey, you're an activist with a very clear personal position. You are against the government's supposed amendments to the 213 land acquisition bill. But on this question of a debate, where do you stand?
We always welcome a debate, Karan. And the debate is important, but the debate should be preceded by the government saying that we are happy to, if we are convinced about this and if this debate goes in that direction, we are happy to withdraw this ordinance. Right from the beginning, the government has been saying that we will talk to anyone, but the ordinance is there to stay. And then they brought 9 or 8 amendments to that ordinance,
I'm
which
going to
are
stop
basically
you there.
an eye watch.
I'm going to stop you there. Is your condition for accepting a debate that the ordinance first be withdrawn? Or are you happy to have a public debate whilst the ordinance continues or is even reissued?
No, absolutely happy to have a public debate at any time, because a debate will only lead to more education, and we are having a debate today on your channel, and there have been debates going on every day, so it's not a new thing.
Very good.
The point is that
your
the
position,
particular
therefore,
issues have to be addressed.
Your position, therefore, is different to the official position of the Congress party, which in turn is different to the welcome note sounded a moment ago by Ajay Kumar. I'm just pointing that out for the audience. Yesterday evening, the Congress scoffed at the idea of a debate. They virtually rejected it when they issued a formal statement. Javed Ansari, Nithin Gadkari has gone one step beyond simply challenging the opposition to a debate. He said, and I want to quote him, if the government is proved wrong, we are ready to apologize. He also said that we are also ready to include and accommodate the opposition's suggestions. Now, if he means what he's said, and some may doubt it, then surely that's another good reason for accepting the debate, because if the government finds it's wrong and they apologize, that would be a huge political climb down.
But Karan, they have accepted the idea of a debate. We have Jairam Ramesh told us this morning that he would like to, why doesn't Gadkari debate me? I am the architect of this bill. I am willing to debate him in Parliament and outside.
Except that the official statement issued last night by Congress, right, and that has to be the Congress's position, not Jairam, is scoffing at the idea for debate. They rubbished it.
Yeah, the first reaction was they rubbished the idea of a Gadkari versus Mrs. Sonia Gandhi debate, but they are prepared for a Jairam Ramesh versus Nithin Gadkari debate. And the BJP says that they are willing to incorporate ideas. You first pass the bill in the Lok Sabha where you have a brute majority. China NC says we are for consensus. Consensus in the upper house where they are in a hopeless minority, but they will pass the bill in the Lok Sabha where they have the brute majority.
Well, I don't think we should use this language, brute majority. They have a majority, full stop. Brute is an adjective that perhaps they can rightfully object to. They have a majority. They've exercised the majority. That's what parliamentary democracy is about. China NC, are you first of all willing to debate with Jairam Ramesh, or are you insistent on only debating with Sonia Gandhi? A quick answer to that.
Well, I think this challenge has been posed by Sonia Gandhi, so it's only befitting for Nithin Gadkari to reply to her. If the Congress feels that she's incompetent to be a part of that debate and want Jairam Ramesh,
the challenge was extended not by Sonia Gandhi, the challenge was extended by Nithin Gadkari. So let's not get the order wrong.
Because
now, Nithin Gadkari is not leader of his party. He is not of Sonia Gandhi's stature. Jairam Ramesh is a lot closer, probably equivalent in stature. So I ask you that question
then you
again.
Need to ask the Congress. It's their prerogative who they want to debate with and what issues they want to broach.
Fine.
As far as the BJP
that
is concerned,
yes.
There have been nine
Stop there.
Amendments which have
Your
been made.
answer amounts to a yes. You are happy to debate with Jairam Ramesh.
We're happy to debate with anyone, Karanji. We're happy to debate with anyone because we believe that this is a bill which is in the interest of the farmer.
You said that many times. You've said that many times. Let's keep the ideology aside. Let's keep the ideology aside. The second question I want to ask you is this. Who will judge how the debate has gone? Because Nithin Gadkari's promise to apologize and accommodate the concerns of the opposition depends upon proving who's right or wrong. So who's the judge? Or will you have some sort of opinion poll to do the judging?
It is the people of this country which realize that we are not going to work in any rash way which is not in keeping with the interest of the farmer and the common man.
I asked you a specific question.
But then I ask you, I mean, if you want to debate, isn't it a public opinion which is formed based on the facts
How
of the
do you
case?
judge that public opinion? Will you have a poll to judge it?
Why not? It's a fair medium, and anyone is entitled to express their opinion, and a majority opinion is established. But the point is, give the BJP a free hand to enforce and implement
just a moment.
bill which is in the interest of the farmer,
this debate. We're making some good ground there. Don't spoil the issue by bringing ideology into it all the time. Ajay Kumar, we've established one thing very important. Shaina NC is prepared to debate with Jairam Ramesh, or she says her party would be prepared to debate with Jairam Ramesh. Jairam Ramesh has said himself that he's willing to come forward and do the debate. Now, will your party withdraw from the statement you issued last night, accept the formulation that you gave me a moment ago that you're happy to debate from Jantar Mantar, and put Jairam Ramesh up? Can you say yes to that?
You know, first of all, Karan, I need to answer your question. When Nithin Gadkari released this statement, we were saying that it is another jumla, you know, a statement they make and throwing, you know, leaving balloons in the air. Because the fact was, and that's why we condemned it, and we said it in that statement that we will ready to discuss, hold back the ordinance, like Nikhil correctly said, and then we can have a discussion. You want your ordinance to continue, Chit bhi meri, Pat bhi meri, and then you say we want a debate. So if you want a faith, all hands
so now you're laying down a condition, aren't you? Now you're laying down a condition. You're saying you're not willing to debate while the ordinance continues. The ordinance must first be withdrawn.
Because they will continue to harm. Because they will continue to delay dally tactic and continue to oppress the farmers and the rest of the people of this country, including the Adivasis and everybody else, including the middle class and lower middle class in cities.
You've made your party's position clear.
So you have
I'm stopping you, Dr. Ajay Kumar. You've made your party's position clear. Unlike the statement issued last night, both you as spokesman and Jairam Ramesh are willing to debate. You even mentioned Jantar Mantar as a possible location, but you've added a condition: the ordinance must be withdrawn. Nikhil Dey, I want to put this to you. The people of India do genuinely believe that this is an issue of importance because it hinges upon development, it hinges upon jobs, it hinges upon growth. And they're deeply disheartened to find that it's caught up entirely with polemics and politics. Is it not possible, leaving the gimmickry of a debate aside, for people like you to sit down with the government, perhaps behind closed doors, and talk about the amendments they want? You may not like them, but many others genuinely believe that they are in national interest. Surely intelligent people committed to the national interest can talk and discuss behind closed doors, leave a debate out of it. Is that not something you could do?
Yeah, Karan, it's not a question of behind closed doors or in the open. Everything in this particular case is in the open. The point is that there was a consensus reached. We may not have agreed with that consensus in 2013, but it was reached between all the parties. And the BJP needs to explain point by point why it's gone about making such drastic changes through an ordinance by pushing it down everyone's throat.
They've done so. Arun Jaitley has addressed the reasons repeatedly. So has Nithin Gadkari. They've done it repeatedly in Parliament. They've done it on television. They've done it in interviews.
Karan, when there is a consensus in Parliament, your changes need to be brought about through another consensus. You can't in a few months without implementing a particular law turn around and say that, okay, I will just give you an explanation. That's not good enough. You need to convince people. So what you're talking about, Karan, in behind closed doors, needed to have been done before the...
I'm interrupting you. You're not looking at the facts. The issue was debated on the floor of the Lok Sabha. Some parties chose to walk out. That's their prerogative. A vote was held. The BJP won it. They have a fair and square majority. That is how majorities exercise their power, and they won it. How can you say there wasn't a debate on the floor of the Lok Sabha? There was.
But I'm saying that I'm saying there was no consensus. There was a consensus before. Of course, it's their prerogative. They can push anything through.
A parliamentary decision is taken on the basis of majority. That is how Parliament functions. You don't have to suddenly make consensus a condition.
No, I'm not making it a condition. You're saying, are we willing to talk about it? I'm saying, of course we are. And based on talking is what something should be formulated. An ordinance is not based on talking. It's not based on consultation. It's based on saying, this is our way, this is how we'll do it. And that's what the ordinance is as it stands. So, of course, it should be based on a consultative process. It should be based so that there is an agreement. And there are very, very strong issues here, Karan, that concern the livelihoods of people, and you're taking land away from them.
I'm going to stop you there because I want to take up the point you're making first with the Congress spokesperson before I come to Javed Ansari. There's no doubt, Dr. Ajay Kumar, that your party and many other parties in the opposition feel the government should have consulted the opposition before promulgating the ordinance. And there's a lot of undeniable logic in your position. But that didn't happen, and you can't unravel the past. That is now a given, you have to accept it. So maybe, even if you have reluctance to debate, if the government were to reach out and say, let's discuss the amendments we want, let's see whether we can achieve some sort of rational compromise, are you willing and prepared to do that? To sit down behind closed doors and have an intelligent discussion about all the amendments they want, so that some sort of sensible, workable agreement or consensus, as Nikhil Dey calls it, is reached?
You know, Karan, the trust levels are ridiculously low with the Bharatiya Janata Party-led government, because look at Mr. Gadkari making the statement after the bill has been introduced in the Lok Sabha.
Javed Ansari, we've achieved, amidst a lot of rancor, a lot of confusion, a small weak crack in the window. Congress is prepared, if the BJP takes the initiative, to meet behind closed doors and discuss, negotiate and see if some compromise is possible. China NC, somewhere in that answer, did also say BJP would do it. Then she confused the answer thereafter. Do you think it could work if Nithin Gadkari were to say, look, don't debate if you don't want to. Let's meet behind closed doors. Let's spend 2 days thrashing out our two positions to see if there's a compromise possible, if we can persuade each other and come to some agreement. Could that work?
Theoretically, yes, but it won't be Nithin Gadkari. It will either have to be Mr. Narendra Modi or Mr. Arun Jaitley. Arun Jaitley in London has ruled that out, saying that the Prime Minister is unwilling to concede on this. But the ground reality being what it is, I think there's too much at stake for both parties politically, and therefore I don't think there'll be much of a meeting ground. If this bill has to pass and become a legislation, it will be through a joint session of Parliament.
Why could this initiative, which was originally taken by Nithin Gadkari, one presumes at the behest of the Prime Minister and after Arun spoke in London, and therefore I presume it also overtakes what Arun said, why can't Nithin Gadkari hold those discussions with Congress rather than Arun or the PM? Why can't Nithin Gadkari be the man? Let Congress field Jairam Ramesh.
The thing is, Mr. Gadkari unfortunately is not calling the shots. It's the Prime Minister and Arun Jaitley who are calling the shots on this bill, and therefore it's important that they talk, and they are the ones, because the final call has to be made either by the Prime Minister. The final call will be made by the Prime Minister,
but at the aid,
with the aid and advice of Mr. Arun Jaitley.
The opposite applies too. The final call for Congress will be made by Sonia Gandhi.
Absolutely.
So then she must be present.
The point I'm making is there's too much at stake politically. It's not on the merits. Politically, the Congress believes that on this issue, they've pinned the BJP down. They want to project it as this pro-rich government. And that's why they will not back down. The BJP believes that this is something very good and they need to go forward with this.
Nikhil Dey, let me put it like this. Many people who are not farmers, who are not industrialists, just ordinary middle-class folk, are disheartened that an issue that they believe is so critical to development, growth, jobs, the future of their country, has become polarized and politicized in such a way that we have warring camps not willing to sit down together and sort out their differences. And the nation's response, that middle-class response, is a bit like Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, a plague on both your houses. Do you understand that? The country is getting fed up with this politics. It's not serving anyone's purpose except to push people into corners and make them quarrelsome with each other. The country is losing out. Jobs are suffering. People's future is suffering. Do you understand that? Because in a very real sense, activists like you are also being said, a plague on you.
Karan, there's a very clear, this is an extremely important issue. Even the middle class would understand if their land and their homes were being forcibly taken away. Acquisition is forcibly taking it away. You cannot wish away that issue. You have to deal with it with sensitivity. You have to deal with it with a lot of care and concern. And when there was a consensus, there should have been an attempt to make that act, to make the 2013 Act work. If it didn't work, then piece by piece, rather than thrusting something down, things should have been worked out. Even now, it is much wiser to try and, because you're taking away land from someone, their opinion is the most important, their protection is the most important.
There is no doubt that you're taking land away, but some people believe genuinely that for causes like defense, infrastructure, irrigation, and possibly a very limited, I underline that word, a very limited form of industrial corridor, this is essential. That there is a greater good at stake beyond the good of the individuals who may lose land. And anyway, remember, they're losing their land perhaps compulsorily, but they're getting 4 times the market value. They're still getting that. Now, on that basis, why can't people sit down and talk and come to a compromise rather than quarrel publicly and hold up development? That's why the middle class is getting fed up.
So that would have happened if what had earlier been worked out had been tried. That would have happened if whatever changes the government wanted to bring had been first discussed through a consensual, consultative process. That would have happened if the farmers' groups had been taken on board. Because even though things may be essential for development, you have to deal with it with sensitivity, because those who are losing their lives, their land, their livelihood, their culture, have to be brought on board in the best manner possible.
You know the sad point? I'm going to have to end this particular half of tonight's episode on that note. That is that we are boxed into such political corners that we're unable, even when the national interest is at stake, to reach out and sensibly talk to achieve a compromise. Politics and posturing and identifying yourself with your favorite constituency is so much more important than seeing the big picture and the Indian national interest. And I think the middle class is absolutely right when they say both of Congress and the BJP, but sadly also of activists, a plague on all of you. You may be following your own narrow definition of the good, but there's a wider good of the country as a whole that's losing out and losing out badly. And I think this particular half ends with an enormous note of demoralization. My thanks to my guests for revealing their positions, but the outcome is not a happy one. Time for a break, but then, how solid is the case for a CBI inquiry into D.K. Ravi's death? Or does the Karnataka government have good grounds for refusing? Join me in a moment to find out.